Welcome, everyone. It's the Mike Tech Show, show number 953. Tonight, going to talk about storms, power outages, the oppressive heat, and then, of course, we're going to demonstrate some local backups because that's so critical. An error that is so weird. I had my son and I solved this for a client on Google Workspace issue. I have to share the solution because the solution doesn't make sense, but it works. And then email security for admins. And I have a PDF I made of a lot of things to think about if you're an admin, you're managing an email system. You can't do all these things. Maybe you can do a lot of them. But anyway, a way to really protect yourself. So I want to talk about the storms and what happened to me. And then last Thursday, well, I had a lot of work to do. And so I canceled the show early on Thursday. And as luck would have it, or no luck, 5 p.m. on Thursday, terrible storm hits this area. And I'm outside of Philadelphia in the suburbs, and bad storm, power goes out, and it was ugly. And for those longtime listeners, you do know I have a portable generator, but I have not used it in years. It needs a lot of maintenance, and shame on me for not maintaining it or getting it maintained before the season. So that's like now very high on the list because power didn't return till Saturday. So, except for Friday morning, I really thought, and it wasn't as hot Thursday night here, so I was able to survive without air conditioning, and it wasn't bad. And then I got up, and then Friday, it was just, I had power for an hour. Came on at 7:30, and I was like, okay, I can live with this. That's fine. And then, bang, went out, and that was it. By Friday, 6 o'clock, there was no real time for restoration. So that's when I looked at my wife and I said, you want to go to a hotel? And we had to I have tons of Marriott points, and we had to go pretty far out because I didn't realize just how bad the power situation was in my neighborhood. It was so bad, every hotel in the area was already booked. So we had to go further out. Now, something I didn't realize, as we go further out, where you hit the Pocono Mountains, well, Pocono race, there was a Pocono race this weekend. I didn't realize that. I'm not a NASCAR person, but, and we had to go a little further. So Wilkes-Barre. So I was out at Wilkes-Barre. I was able to use my points. We were able to get there Friday night, and then had a late dinner. And now I had internet. I have power, air conditioning. It was nice. Came back. Interesting. Had to get my son, Mike Jr., because he lives in Philadelphia and he had power, and so I had to make sure he grabbed meds that had to be refrigerated because you just don't know how long the power is going to be, and so he moved them to his refrigerator, packed it with ice to transport it, and then got him and then took care of that. So now I'm monitoring the situation. Power comes on Saturday, and I'm trying to get some work done. But, it's hard to get motivated. You're at a hotel, you're at a desk, you're trying to, so the point of all of this is what happens when you have bad storms. And I had two clients that I was very lucky. They went down hard with their power. We have a UPS, but haven't had a chance to replace the battery because they had a power outage the week before. So it's amazing that in 2025, just how fragile our our electrical infrastructure is. I'm amazed, and I'm amazed at how lucky I am when I'm in Florida. I've never had a power outage. I mean, if I did, it was just for, a minute or two. And with the hurricanes that I battle, and yes, that's stressful and it's horrible, but I have not lost power, not lost internet. And it's amazing. It's because the development that I'm in, our property, everything's underground. So there's no trees. And not only, even the Frontier Fios, everything's underground. And we happen to be pretty close. We're on the same grid as a main hospital in the area. So I am very, very fortunate, and that's why we maintain power. Up here, forget it. You just hear thunder, and you know you're going to be losing power. I'm just going to go off script here. When I was a kid, I never had this, and it's all because of the trees, and we're just it's just trees and trees and trees everywhere around here when you get into the suburbs. But when I lived in the core of the city of Philadelphia, that was a concrete jungle. There were no trees. When I grew up, you had to go to a park to see a tree. I didn't grow up with trees. So, yeah, ergo, no power outages. So, and it just didn't seem as hot. I didn't have air conditioning, but yet that wasn't a problem. Now, man, I can't be without air. I got a secondary air conditioner on here. I have a secondary air conditioner, in my office in Florida. It's amazing how dependent we are. Now, on Thursday, I was able to utilize my T-Mobile 5G and tethered my phone with my iPad, and my wife and I, with the iPad, I was able to watch my Phillies game. We were able to watch some things. Friday, not so, because I noticed that 5G wasn't available, and we were down to LTE and barely connecting. So my hotspot on my phone, even though I kept it charged because I have chargers, and I guess that's where you got to prepare based on your situation and where you're at. And one of the things I make sure is I have a bunch of chargers. I have a great charger that I can put my iPhone in, and it's heavy. It makes the iPhone very, very heavy, and that's sort of my concert battery pack. Or if you're at Disney for the day, or I'm away for the whole day, and I got to make sure my phone has the juice. I can do like 3 charges for that, which is pretty good. So anyway, it's just new feeling having to deal with power outages since I've been back Sunday, June 15th. That's when I got back. So now you got the extreme heat, and I'm like so glad this week I had my AC and had power because it was very, very hot. Something I do, my big client that I visit on Wednesdays when I'm here, and when I'm not here, my son goes on site. So we have a client that it's a manufacturer, and because it's a manufacturer, they don't have air conditioning throughout the plant. They do in the offices. And I'm getting ready very early yesterday morning to go on site. And I'm like, I'm not putting long pants on. I'm not putting jeans. I'm just going to put nice shorts on. And I had my MTS consulting shirt. And I said, because I know it's going to be hot down there, and I'm just not going to suffer. So I did that and was able to make it through. But it's amazing how I keep having the power outages, and there's a mental block of why I have to find someone that can do maintenance on my generator and get it ready. Old fuel that's been sitting in there for years has to be siphoned out, And I'm not mechanical like that. I can't work that. I think it needs new spark plugs. It needs a really good tune-up. And I got to find someone now in my area. Someone gave me a couple names, and I'm going to do that because, of course, had a plumbing emergency this week, and just everything just seems to be, hitting at the same time. So that's been my past week. And then, of course, trying to juggle and handle clients. And, of course, my system. So let's real quick talk about, this is the Beast 1 that Carrie Holzman built for me a few years ago. And it's been running phenomenal until the past year. And I think you remember I was complaining about my system and locking up. I know there's a drive that's bad, but I got to get the system off the ground and up and open it up, take everything out. I have 2 4 terabyte NVMEs that I can put on the motherboard, and I'm redoing a Windows 11 Pro from scratch. And I intend to do that before next week. Let's keep my fingers crossed that I make the time, and I'm thinking of doing that over the weekend, so I have a chance. But I'll tell you, it's very hard because we still have lots of systems that we're doing, and I have already put together, I have a tremendous show scheduled for next Thursday, and you definitely want to check it out because it's Windows 11 Revisited, and I got some really interesting information and some interesting links that I've found that I think are very, very important. So that is next week, and let's hope it's on a new system. The thing I regret is it took me a while to get OBS connected with Twitch and recording everything that you're seeing right now. That was not easy. That took a little bit, and it's in the back of my head, and I'm like, boy, I got to do that again. So I'm just not looking forward to that at all. So let's move to the display capture here. This is my test system, which is actually right behind me. Let's talk about first Instant House Call. So there's still an incredible deal for Instant House Call, $7 for 1 year. The link is at MikeTechShow.com. It's always the orange link in the show notes. You can have full, unlimited, unattended endpoints. I mean, even today, I was connected to multiple problems with Instant House Call where I have 2 screens, and I had both screens with 2 different clients where I was working on things, setting up a VPN for a system that was redone, and I had to get that set up. And then another person was having problems where he clicked on the wrong thing, and the website started talking to him, so I'm connected into there, killing that malware. Check it out. There's a link for the order page. $7. You can't go wrong. You have to try it out. All right. With all of the storms and the weather and power outages, and you don't know, your system goes down hard, is it going to come back? You have to, at minimum, at the least, do a local backup. And one of the things I wanted to just reiterate tonight is make sure, and the link I have is the Windows 10 and Windows 11, everything you need to, if you have a Microsoft account, to sign in and do your backup. I mean, it's so simple, and you can set up with OneDrive to sync your files. But what if you don't? What if, hey, you know what? That's not what you want to do. You don't have a Microsoft account. Well, that's okay. In Windows 10 and Windows 11, we have this in Control Panel, backup and restore Windows 7. So when you click on that, all you have to do is set up a backup and have an external drive. And you can have a full system image and let Windows determine all the files. It's very easy to do. And this should be the bare minimum that you do for backing up your system or backing up a client. Let's say the client doesn't want to buy the backup software. He doesn't want to buy the online backup. Then we do this. We make him get an external drive, or I sell him an external drive and say, this is the minimum you have to do. Now, in Windows 11, just type, or in Windows 10, type file history. And that's in Control Panel. But if you don't know, you just search for file history. If you turn it on, you have to first select a location that you're going to save it. And you could just turn this on, and at least all of your main files will start to sync and start to copy. And now you at least have protection. You have your files protected. And I just wanted to take a few moments because backups have been on my mind. And let's see, Marius, Win 11 backup only supports personal accounts, no work school accounts. Yes, but that's for using the OneDrive and everything. But remember, you can always use the backup and restore Windows 7. That is not based on any Microsoft accounts at all. So that's something that you want at minimum, or file history. So wanted to make sure everybody is aware of, hey, it's free backup. It's included. So that's the least that you should be doing. Now, let's see. So a client with their Google Workspace was getting a message that they had to turn on two-factor verification, but they could not. I had to put this link up because the main admin has to do it first. Well, we tried turning it on and it just wouldn't work. You have to scroll down on this link and look at the recommended answer. And I'm not kidding when step number 5, because the first one, you sign into your, Google admin console, and then you go to security, authentication, two-step verification, check the allow users to turn on. But it says you have to turn it on first. Well, you have to make sure before you, the admin, personally turns it on, you have to select enforcement off. That's right. You select enforcement off. Then you set up the two-factor authentication for the admin. Now you go back and go in and log in and turn the enforcement on. I know it does not make sense. And that's why I had to, I'm like, this is crazy. And you don't think of that first. And as a matter of fact, you're going to see comments where there were people, I was following all the steps you recommended except for step 5. I was selecting enforcement on. So that's where a lot of people get caught on this. And I didn't realize, because we don't have a lot of clients with Google Workspace. Most of our clients are all either they're SureWeb Exchange hosted, or they're SureWeb Microsoft hosted, where I still have the full Microsoft admin panel, or we went direct to Microsoft. So that's the majority of my clients. We've already moved a lot of clients from Google Workspace, but we do have an occasional one, or this one was a referral for a problem to us. So this was a new client, and my son was able to resolve this. And it was funny when he called me. He says, "Dad, I'm having a lot of trouble with trying to figure this out." And I said, "Okay, look, you keep at it." Well, and we both Googled and came across this answer. And when I called him, he started laughing, and the client was laughing behind him because they just discovered when they were searching the exact same article that I came across. And I was like, okay, that's going into the show notes for next week, so which is today. All right. So now I'm going to cut and paste the link for this PDF that I've already made, and it's downloadable. And for the rest of the show here, I am going to review this PDF I put together. It's an email security best practices checklist for IT admins. See, now we're getting into some serious stuff. So, account security, obviously, very, very important. Enforce strong password policies, the length, the complexity, and the rotation. Be careful. Don't have the rotation too quickly, because that's an issue. Because people then write the passwords down. But require two-factor authentication. This is now absolute must for email and for all user accounts. And we're going to talk about down the road that you need to actually turn that enforcement to make it even tougher for every 24 hours. You don't want something remembered for two-factor authentication too long. We have seen a major breach that we are still working with the client, and that's what made me want to at least do this. But we're going to be adding on more things to this down the road to make it even harder. Implement single sign-on with identity providers. I don't know Okta, but I do know Azure and, of course, Active Directory. All right. Email infrastructure security, your DNS. You must have an SPF, sender policy framework. Then DKIM, DMARC, and then enforce TLS encryption for email transport. Your mail providers will change in terms of what you'll be able to do and not do. Like SureWeb hosted, I can't do DKIM or DMARC. That's a major problem. That's why anybody new with a client, I will put them right on Microsoft, because that's easy to be able to set up. So you got to have them in place, or you're not going to be able to send email. As a matter of fact, Gmail will reject it if you don't have them right. Email gateway and filtering. This is important, and I'm seeing this more and more, that they have Mimecast here, Proofpoint. I don't know Mimecast, but I do know Proofpoint. I do have a bunch of clients using that, and then Barracuda. Proofpoint, you would have it in front of your email provider. So the mail would hit Proofpoint. Proofpoint has a lot of capability of filtering, and this for being able to spot malware, viruses, phishing filters, configure sandboxing for email attachments and links, quarantine suspicious and unverified emails for manual review. Yes, a lot of this is common sense, but I wanted to put it in a list. And of course, some of these things you won't be able to implement, but I want you to think about this. Implement real-time link scanning. And this is now really important, and it depends on what Microsoft licensing that you have for the mailboxes, based on what you're going to be able to do and set for warnings. All right. Tag emails from external senders. You've seen this a lot when you get a reply from someone where your email was tagged, hey, this is an external email. Makes people think when they see that, they're like, oh, wait a second. This is coming from the outside. User training and policy enforcement. I am working on a new updated cybersecurity training for this year, and the beginning of September, I have some new training that I got to do for a couple clients. So I'm working on a new list, an updated one. So that's got me thinking about all of this. I'm working on that, and I just wanted to put this together. Conduct regular phishing simulation tests. Train users how to report phishing attempts. Distribute and enforce a formal email usage policy. And that's what I'm talking about, and that's what I'll review for that particular client as I hold sessions with their employees. Monitoring, logging, and alerts, very important, and especially the one listed here, monitor for compromised inbox rules. This is the first thing attackers do, and they're getting really good at it because they're hiding the rules. They're becoming more sophisticated, and if you even a sniff of a client's email being compromised, of course, first thing, you change the password. But next, you must go in and do an in-depth analysis of rules going onto the Outlook web access. And even then, some can be hidden. You must be thorough in getting rid of all the rules, getting rid of any forwarders. That is a crucial beginning. Enable audit logs. Now, depending on how far you want to go back with Microsoft, that's an extra cost. So, but it's important. Set up alerts for suspicious behavior, any kind of mass forwarding, or here's the big one, logins from new locations. You should know your client or the office you're at, the people that are traveling, maybe it's salesmen or executives, they should be treated a little differently because they are traveling, but your typical employee is not. So there shouldn't be suspicious IP addresses, and certainly from countries that nobody's visiting. So think of blocking them, those IP addresses. Just something to think about. Admin controls and access management, role-based access for the admin rules, email forwarding to external addresses, limit it or monitor that. I'm doing that more and more, where I think years ago I was more forgiving when someone wanted their email forwarding. Now you got to be really careful. This is a tough one, backup and continuity, because if you have Microsoft, you're going to have to get a third-party special backup to be able to back up the Microsoft hosted email. But this is interesting for disaster recovery and email continuity. Let's go back. If you use Proofpoint, one of the nice things about Proofpoint is if they see your email servers are down, because remember, this is in front of that, they will start spooling all inbound emails, and you have a separate Proofpoint link that you can temporarily read email and respond where you're not going to lose anything. So if SureWeb was down, and they did have an outage a few years ago that was pretty major, my clients that had Proofpoint, they were up and running. I was able to get them, using their mail, no problem. So even if you do have Microsoft, consider that, very, very important. So now, compliance and legal readiness, certainly you have to do email archiving, or for FINRA compliance, it's journaling. I have to, any financial advisor, their email has to be journaled back to the broker-dealer. So we have to work on that with together with the broker-dealer to be able to make sure that's happening. So, of course, HIPAA, and then configuring email retention policies. This is important. If you're an admin, maybe you're not an admin, then an admin. Well, send them that link, because that's I think an important link that if you're into this, there might be those couple items that you don't think of when you're setting up a new client for their email, or you're taking it over, or certainly having a list like this, and you're getting a new client, you say, This is how I roll. These are the things we look at. And then we'll look at the cost, and we'll look at the cost benefits and the risk versus reward, for, do we implement this? Not everybody can afford a Proofpoint account, for all of their employees, but you are aware of it and you can bring it up and have that discussion. So I think that's important. And that's why I wanted to make it a PDF and have it all ready, and it's already posted up on the MikeNation.net website. So that is it for tonight's show. Remember, next week, lots of great, important Windows 11 links, including something that's coming out in July that's going to change how we're looking at Windows 10 upgrades to Windows 11. Microsoft is backing off on that October 14th deadline. Now, they're still going to have it, but they're going to keep updating Windows 10, and they're going to do it for free for a lot of people, but you have to fall into a certain category. Anyway, I got some, that's just one thing, and it's because of that generated some other links and stuff, and I already put it together, and I was like, but this is what I was doing over the weekend when I was like, okay, and I came across some articles and some things, and I was like, wow, wait a second here. I'm going to put a Windows 11 revisited show, and I think that's important, especially as we get closer and closer to that October 14th end of life for Windows 10. Remember, email me any questions you have for anything you're hearing, or say, hey, Mike, have you seen this or heard about this? Yeah, send me an email, miketechshow@gmail.com. Don't forget to visit the website. And, hey, there is a donation link there that helps support the show. Helps where I can, get the generator fixed and get it running and stuff. So one thing I've done in the past when that generator was running, lost power before a show, did an entire show and posted it up with no power because the generator, this room is on the generator. So, and my internet. So any donation to help support the show, greatly, greatly appreciate it. Don't forget, check out the videos on YouTube, youtube.com/Michael Smith MTS. That is it. Everybody have a great week. Stay cool. Don't forget, please check out Instant House Call. And that's a wrap. See everybody next week. Same time, same channel. Bye-bye.